Hi, my name's Tom Shue, and today I want to show you how you can process images inside Capture One Pro 7. Now, this software does things that none of the other ones can do, and believe me, I've used them all. Lightroom, Photoshop, Camera Raw, EOS Utility, Nikon NIX software, all of them. GIMP I've tried. There's nothing that can touch Capture One as far as the ability to process raw files. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is the folder for catalogs. If you want to do any kind of adjustments to your files, there's several areas. One is right here. This is going to be your exposure. And this one over here would be lens corrections. And over here would be composition. And this would be details for sharpening and stuff like that. And then there's local adjustments, like an adjustment brush. So we'll start right here. And we'll just go with exposure. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but there is somebody sitting inside the truck. The door's open, but the picture's so underexposed, you can see the histogram, that you just can't see inside that shadow. So let's move our exposure up. But you notice when we bring that exposure up to a level where we can see who's in the truck, we lose our sky. Okay, I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit because I don't want to blow the sky completely out. Now, there's also a brightness control, and this will kind of work in the mid-range of the image. So I'm going to bring our brightness up a little bit. All right. There's tools inside of Capture One that you find inside Photoshop, such as levels. You can work in RGB, which is your red, green, and blue, and set a white point. You can work in any one of the channels, red, green, or blue. But I will tell you, you need to know how to use a color wheel to work with these types of adjustments in the red, green, and blue, because they're not going to affect the red, they're going to affect the green and the blue, or the opposites, or the contrast colors, or the contrasting colors to whichever channel you select. So say if we wanted to increase the white point a little bit, we could slide this over and it will increase our white point because we're in RGB. And if we wanted to increase the shadows, we could right here. So let's just back those off. Another way you could adjust the image is with the curves. We come over here, we see our shadows a little bit dark, so we could bring our shadow up, and then we could come down here and we could create like a reverse S-curve and flatten the image out. Now bring back some of our sky detail. Now there are the typical clarity and structure settings that you would find in, like, say, a NIC plugin. Clarity sliders in Lightroom as well. There's classic, neutral, and punch. So if we just choose the punch setting and we increase our clarity, you can see that it does increase the contrast. It's the micro contrast that gets increased. And if we increase the structure, it's even the finer micro contrast that gets dealt with. Now, there's a lot more you can do with this image inside of Capture One that you can't do with anyone else, and this is through this high dynamic range slider. Now, this isn't available in any other package. You might be able to get to it by tweaking things, but I've never seen anything handle it like this. So if we grab our highlight slider, watch what it does. It brings our highlights back to where they were originally. But look, it doesn't touch the shadows. Now what we could do is we could bring our shadows up and it will increase that shadow detail. Now we could go back into our exposure and say we can adjust our contrast, which we haven't touched at all, and we could redarken some of those shadow areas. Now you can see that we've recovered tons of information. We went from something like this to something like this. We can increase the clarity a little bit more. We could take our exposure and drop it down just a hair, and maybe the brightness down just a little bit. Or we could do this inside of our curves. There's so many more adjustments available and recovery inside of your raw file inside Capture One than any other software that I've worked with. Now, I'm new to this software, and this are the way I understand how to use these tools. And as I progress, this information will get better. But I'm telling you now, the future for me is in Capture One. I want to thank you all for taking time to visit my blog today. And until next time, we'll see you soon.